Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, and you're listening to the Comic Com, man. This is where you get all your comics info, and take that from a comics guy, a comic book man.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Comic Con Podcast, Season 3, Episode 51. Holy shit, 51 episodes this week.
Wow.
We are recording this on December 21st, a few days before good old Christmas time. So Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. Happy Hanukkah if you celebrate Hanukkah. That has just recently passed, and all the other wonderful holidays out there in the world. So great episode today. Myself, Milton the Manimal. How are you?
Good, man. Just enjoying a little bit of like the warm Christmas weather right now. Still in El Paso as we record this, but Saturday heading to Kansas City where it's looks like it's gonna be balls cold and wet and nasty.
Well, that's perfect because our guest is from the Shortboxed app. We had him on a few months ago talking about the upcoming auctions, and a lot of stuff has come around for announcements on Shortboxed, so we decided to bring him back. Mr. Kevin himself, how are you, sir?
I'm great. Thanks for having me back, fellas. Always a good time on the Comic Con podcast.
Yeah, we appreciate you. You got your snappy Naruto jacket from our pal
Comic Queen.
Yeah, Miss Comic Queen, who's been here on the podcast this year. It's so dope. I love that jacket. I need to get me one now.
Yeah, I mean, anytime an adult jacket comes out with thumb holes in the sleeves, I'm about it.
I want you to actually run around like your room, like the ninja run.
Yeah. With my
run.
Yeah, like
I do that
Area 51.
anyways, so this jacket is a perfect complement to my weirdness.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
came on and immediately like peer pressured us into getting beers too.
Yeah.
He tried to be really like circumspect about it. It was like, hey, will you guys be drinking a beverage? Like, would you like to? If you would like to, we can do that.
I was going for Inception, Manimal, and it didn't quite work out as well as I wanted it to, but the end result is...
Are we a dream? Are we a dream right now?
We're all having beers. I think I manifest my own reality.
I love Inception. It makes me want to watch that movie now.
Kevin was like, it's been a rough day. I really need a beer. So let me just try to peer pressure these guys into getting one.
Well, little did he know that it doesn't take much. I'm like,
well, yeah,
very little pressure. Maybe one finger's weight of pressure, and
pretty much
babysitting all day. So I'm always due for a beer.
So I guess I was gonna tell you this story before we got started, but Manimal knows this. I went to the gym this morning, and I get to the gym. And the manager actually goes, hey, come here for a second. I got to show you something. And I'm like, oh, all right, cool. And she's like, oh, I'm going to give you something, but like, see me before you leave. And I'm like, okay. So at the end of my workout session, she had a 12-pack of Voodoo Ranger. And she's like, oh, you could take one. And I'm like, yeah, that's, I just worked out for a good hour. Like, I'm trying to stay in shape. Let me, here, take a Voodoo Ranger, because they have those like high alcohol contents. And so I took one that I didn't normally have. So I got the Haze Glare IPA.
Aren't they from?
I think the carbonation helps you hydrate faster. That's probably why they handed it to you.
Yeah.
Where's Voodoo Ranger from? Is that an East Coast beer? Or is that like I thought that was like a Northwest beer. I'm not sure. I feel like I've seen that.
I mean, it's all over up here.
Fort Collins, CO, Colorado.
Colorado. Oh. Okay. Yeah.
Fort Collins, Colorado. So. But it's a great beer, yeah. Myself and Mr. Jeff Comic Dunes, when we have the regular Voodoo Ranger, man, you can only hit two of those, and then you're on the floor.
I'm drinking a Deschutes Brewery Jubilale, which is their seasonal holiday beer. And funny story, back when I was in college, the local grocer had a self-checkout and a walk-in beer cooler, and the only barcode that would scan on the case of Deschutes beers was the 6-pack code. So for like an entire year, I would just buy an entire case of Deschutes bottles at 6-pack price. They eventually figured it out and changed that barcode to some like $80 women's Ugg boot. But it was a nice time when I was able to get really good beer for
holy shit.
Makes me think about it every time I have a sip.
That's dope. And what about you, Mr. Manuel, before we get into some comic talk? What are you drinking?
Dude, well, so I'm a little cashed out on beer. All I had was, this is embarrassing. I had Michelob Ultra or Guinness in my fridge right now, and I didn't really feel like a Guinness right now. I usually drink Blue Moon's my go-to. Most people know that. I drank all those these past couple days, so I need to restock.
It's hard buying beers that you like. They just tend to evaporate from the
Someone
fridge.
keeps drinking them, dude. I
know who the heck is.
Well, I'm glad we all have a beer in hand. And if you're listening to this, I would say not early Friday morning because you're probably going to work. But if you're listening to this sometime where you can have a beer, cheers to you out there for checking us out and drinking with us. So let's kind of get into some of our comic book talk. I know we didn't talk comic books last week because we had Ken on, and of course we talked about a lot about video games. But let's kind of go around the horn and talk about what we're currently reading. I mean, some current picks. I know, Kevin's always got a full stack of stuff that he's probably still trying to catch up on. So let's start off with Mr. Manimal. What do you got that we haven't talked about in a while?
Well, I got lucky. I was telling Justin today, I've actually was on the way. I've got next week's books already. So I can kind of talk about some of those. I won't spoil them, but I'll tell you which ones I've liked already that come out next week. But this previous week, there were some good ones. Gods. I'm really enjoying the Gods run, the Jonathan Hickman stuff. And
oh, sweet.
It's also kind of hard to say with Marvel these days, like, oh, I'm enjoying something from Marvel outside of like your go-to books, but it's cool. I really like the way they're going with it. It's new characters. It seems fresh. But it has like a touch in, Doctor Strange, and it seems like it doesn't feel like new characters, which is really nice. I liked and I know Justin, you kind of talked trash about this before, and you weren't wrong about the Uncanny Spider-Man run and how it like started off. It wasn't very good. Then like the Nightcrawler as Spider-Man, like the Fall of X. But it really kind of rounded a corner, I feel like, with the X-Men Origins Blue, with the Mystique Nightcrawler thing, which we talked about a couple weeks ago. Yep. And then you had issue 5 this week, rounding out that story, which I thought was really strong. So I liked that one. You also had like a one-shot original X-Men #1. It was the OG 5 X-Men from the same ones that we had seen years ago that came forward in time and then back. And they kind of go on another multiverse hop journey, which is supposed to lead into the Weapon X-Men, I think is what it's called, or Weapon, something like that. It's like a mini series coming up here soon, starring like multiverse of like Wolverines and stuff. So that was a really cool lead in. And in this week, you might talk about this, Justin. You can talk about Star Wars Revelations at all?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, I'll leave you to it. I thought it was pretty cool, but I'll let you get more into it. And then this week, the books I read this week were just kind of the last ones of like Ghost Rider's final issue for this run, which was awesome. The Predator versus Wolverine final one, which was just such a great series, man. So much fun.
Yes.
And then Dark Droids also. The last issue of Dark Droids came out, or is coming out this upcoming week. So all strong stuff. I don't want to speak on that and kind of spoil anything, but Predator versus Wolverine, do yourself a favor, have some fun, pick up those 4 issues because they're a lot of fun. They don't require any brain, just fun.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. I love anything Predator. Predator's great.
Yeah. And then who else would you want to see him fight? Like in comic books, who else would you want to see him fight besides Wolverine? I mean,
yeah,
after Wolverine, I guess.
X-23. I don't know.
Well, they're gonna do some dumb Deadpool thing, right? Like,
yeah, probably, right.
Like it'll be cheesy because Deadpool is funny and he can't die. Same thing. But I feel like this first go around with Wolverine was just phenomenal.
It needs to be someone without a healing factor next, for sure.
Well,
and it'd be cool to actually see him kill people, like take them out.
Yeah. Well, if Predator's under Marvel now, why are we going to get a Predator verse? A bunch of alternate world Predators?
Yeah.
Probably not.
God,
but that'd
probably
be
some multiverse. Kang Predators.
Was that an intended pun or?
Yeah, shit. It was not, but it works. Man, it works.
I gotcha.
Ooh, hit a nerve there.
Sure. We'll
so what about you, Mr. Shortbox? What are you
reading? I'm still just atrociously behind on reading, but I did get to do an interview with the creator Zack Kaplan, who's done a bunch of really cool stuff for Image and Vault, and he's got some movies and TV shows in production. It's just like super, super cool watching this dude go from like having one book out to now he's got like multiple properties and this really ambitious project on Vault currently that you guys probably have seen at your local shop. Maybe you even got it for free in your box.
Is it Unnatural Order?
Beyond Real. It's the next one of that Unnatural Order sort of release model where they're just giving the first issue to all the shops for you to check out.
Yep.
It's incredible. He's got like like 5 different artists doing art in the 5 different issues, and it's about this creative who, I'm trying to remember the trauma that happens, but somehow she like breaks reality and has this ability to like influence creation, and dives into like all these different worlds where the art changes and the story kind of changes and new characters are introduced. It's top notch. Zach is an incredible sci-fi writer, kind of like with Jonathan Hickman. I'm going to read it if Hickman's writing it. It's kind of the same with Zach at this point. He has really like high concept sci-fi stuff. Like he had this book called Port of Earth that was about like, what if first contact with aliens was if the aliens came to Earth to put a transit station for trade. It had nothing to do with like, welcome to the it was just like, hey, we'll give you power from your ocean. We just want to be able to stop here and do trades. And then the police that had to enforce like the port of these aliens. Anyways, he's great. So I've been reading that. That's been really good. And then I've been dipping back into some old stuff. Have you guys ever read Hard Boiled, Frank Miller, Jeff Darrow?
No.
Oh my gosh, guys. Look at the Jeff Darrow art. It's the same artist who did Shaolin Cowboy.
Okay.
So the art is like way over the top detailed, and this is about like a debt collection agent in the future, in like this dystopian future. And Frank Miller's writing it, and it's back in the really good, like super dope Frank Miller days. So, so those are a couple books I've been kind of poking at. I just sort of pick stuff up casually when I'm not in full on catch up mode. So.
Nice.
A couple others, like trying to catch up on Monstrous and Deadly Class and stuff like that.
Nice. Yeah, it's no joke. I'm not gonna lie. I literally still have the list that's been sitting in front of my computer for like Not All Robots and Rumpus Room that you talked about last time.
Yeah.
Literally sitting in front of I really need to start these. This fucking list has been sitting in front of my computer since you were on here months ago. So
same boat.
I didn't throw it away. I still have it.
I was going to mention another one, but I have a sneaking suspicion last time we talked, I talked about that book, so I left it on. I have no idea.
So
I'm a slow reader these days. It's weird for me, but
I know it's if it doesn't come out, like if it's something that's old, I usually, pass it off. But like when you were on here last time talking about those, I literally wrote them down and they're still staring at me. So at some point I will get to this list. Because like when people do come on, I like hearing about it. And I usually that's what I do. I write it down. So eventually I can get to it when there's like a dull week or something. Then I'm like, oh, you know what? I haven't read something in a while and I don't want to reread something. So let's try something new. So
it's good. I mean, they're not going anywhere. It's not like they're going to remove issues from circulation. So you're good, man.
No. So yeah, those are some titles that I have to check out. So for myself, like Zach said, there was a bunch of Star Wars stuff. I don't know too much to talk about, like the Star Wars Revelations. I think it was like 6 or 7 different stories. You had and they're all kind of leading into, I guess, what's coming out in 2024. So we are getting like a Mace Windu miniseries, a Jango Fett. You're going to kind of get the tail end. What?
I said, nice. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. Afra, I guess, is going to end. Vader, my guess, is going to end. We do have some stuff with High Republic. Star Wars 44 is probably the best one that I liked about. It was kind of, it had this whole thing about a court order or holding court, and you had Dengar and this, I guess, lawyers trying to talk about like, do you know about the Jedi mind trick and explaining like what it is and like that he was under a Jedi mind trick and that's why he was out doing all these bad things, and they're all very interesting. Yeah, they're all very interesting, but I feel like for the price of the book, it should have been like, I feel like it should have been more of like a free thing to like set up everything.
Yeah, and there was a new character that's introduced. I always forget the name of the star. God, I always forget her name. She's the archer chick, or like the rifle. No, not archer. She's like a sniper.
Aura Singh.
Yes, God, I always forget her name. And that set up a new character that she was like hunting. That one was kind of interesting. I like that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see where they're going to go. And like, I don't know why they kind of picked Mace and Django. I don't know what, but there's definitely going to be some stuff. There's definitely going to be some stuff coming out in 2024 with the Star Wars stuff. And then obviously High Republic was this week, and we had Shadows of Starlight. Shadows of Starlight, right?
Yeah.
The last one had Ember. and Bell's out of far, so we get to learn about him, like what's going on with his like 1 year revelations. I did like last week's Batman and Robin #4. I'm really liking the storyline and how they're finally like giving Man Bat. He's like the type of character who is like kind of like a throwaway villain in a
Yeah.
way. But they
Like a
really made
henchman kind
him
of character.
yeah, exactly. Like the henchman. But they really kind of give him more of like a purpose in this series, and you can actually see it like, all right, he's actually a formidable foe for Batman because he is like a scientist, like most of Batman's rogues. But um for that, I like that, and of course, just the art's phenomenal. And then the last book to really want to talk about, and I kind of just picked it up on a whim. The new distillery title, Simona. I don't know if
Oh, how was it?
you. So very all right. So very interesting. So written by both Becky Cloonan and Tula Latoy, and also art by both of them. So I picked it up, and it's very interesting. So it's kind of set in the 1600s. It's kind of about the witches, and it's really interesting because there's times where, how do I want to explain this? So because I didn't know, I knew nothing about this book. And then I picked it up and I started reading it, and they talk about this plague, but then all of a sudden it goes into like this erotic fantasy type of comic book.
Okay.
And yes, it's very interesting. So there's this woman named Ingrid, and her husband's a lawyer, going back to like, we're talking about this stuff. And she's all about like these witch huntings or whatever. And when you don't know if it's written, like who it's written by at the right time, but when she's awake, the art is done by Becky. But then when she falls asleep, some guy or demon or whatever kind of comes into her dreams, and like it's very sexual, like touching and like just doing all these crazy things. And at that point, then it turns into Tula Latoy's her art style, and I love her art style.
Yeah.
And, it kind of goes back and forth where, so she wakes up in like a panic, and her husband's like, oh, what's going on? Like, what are you dreaming about type of thing? Like, almost like, is she cheating on him in his dreams? And she tries to be very sexual. And then he leaves on an assignment for his job. And now it's just kind of where you're kind of like, where is this going to go? And she finds out that other people are also doing sexual things in this like small town in like the 1600s. But now you're finding out this devilish, like shadowy figure type of character is kind of only there in her dreams. But like, is it something else? Like, is she really bringing this out in the normal time? So I don't, like, literally, I had no intentions of picking it up, and it just became like some like 50 Shades of Grey, some weird like.
Is it magazine format?
Yeah.
Ugh.
I know.
Distillery, man. They got to stop that shit.
I hate that shit.
It's a real turnoff. I've been like really wanted to read their books and like follow them and stuff, but I can't do anything with a magazine book, man. I can't.
No, I had the same. I just can't get down with the mag size, man. Heavy Metal tried to launch a whole bunch of really incredible titles a couple of years ago, and I was on. I even bought the magazine size for the first few issues. Zach, why the hell did they mid-run decide to change it back to the normal sized issues?
No way.
Yeah, like, to just throw those mags in the garbage. I'm not gonna keep this. Like, F that. I was so pissed.
Yeah.
Like, format changes are one of those things that I really have to be motivated to follow along, or I'm gonna leave just for that. I'm not into it.
So, side note, not comic book related, but like novels. So I read a lot of novels, and one of my favorite writers, R.A. Salvatore, writes Forgotten Realms genre book. And one of his previous trilogies that came out, everything comes out. I like I usually get like the mass market paperback, right? Your traditional paperback, the small guys. But now they have, so those are, I don't know, a lot of people maybe not know this terminology. Those are called mass market paperback. And then like paperback now are like a little bit larger, right? But still paperback. So book 1 comes out mass market paperback. Books 2 and 3, you can't get them in mass market paperback. They're just paperback. And so now they're still on my bookshelf, and it drives me insane. Like, and I'm like, I'm not like an anal retentive kind of person like that,
No.
Sounds like you are.
Put them in a drawer. Get them the fuck off your shelf. That's maddening.
Oh, it's so maddening. And the same shit happens with omnibuses when like,
all the time.
Uncanny X-Men 5, Volume 5 came out, right? And it's like the newest of the omnibuses. And the bottom, they changed something. What is it? What was it? Oh, yeah. they put like the picture in the format script is different than all the rest of the 4. So you sit them all next to each other and they don't match, and it's so maddening. And
I'm pretty sure it's that way with Monstrous Volume 1. The title and title of the book are way bigger than all of the following volumes. They've also done that on like every time DC does a freaking logo change. Now forever all those omnibuses are completely changed, and there's no way to get them back unless you wait 15 years for another logo and hope it comes back. Like there's no way. You're just kind of screwed.
Or you pay for the reprinting, which like why would I do that? You know, like but
get your logo to match.
Right. So Last Ronin, I think, you know, IDW did a, you know, magazine for the Last Ronin, which was a great book. And then they were wise enough when they did like Lost Years. They're like, hey, okay, no more of this magazine crap. Like let's just do regular books.
And the Last Ronin was not quite mag sized. It was regular issue width, and it was like magazine height. So it, like,
create your own
put it in a normal bag and board.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I appreciated that. Format wars.
Gosh, dude.
I think we talked about that who did we talk? Did we talk about that, Kevin?
Laura was with Distillery at New York Comic Con, and she was telling us about that, and she kind of mentioned it to them, and they were like, Bird City. And she was like, I guess she brought it up to them, or they had said like other people have been bringing that up. Like, maybe we thought it was going to be a good idea. Cause obviously like magazine's cool with art, you know, it's larger, it is visually better. Right. But like at the end of the day, we're all collectors, and it's like, I got to put that somewhere. I don't have a long box or a short box. So I'm just stacking that shit up. Like it's frustrating.
Dude, save the magazine format for the reprint. Kind of like they did with Grand Design. You know what I mean? Like put out the single regular issue, and then you want the monster treasury sized whatever to look at the art. Oh, cool. Give me that in a book. I can put that on a shelf or on my coffee table or something.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff.
There's more problems.
Well, again, check out Simona. It's very interesting.
It sounds kind of like a Mirka Andolfo type of book. Like she's always writes those sexy erotic books, and Tula Lotte. It actually makes a lot of sense that the sexy time is Lotte, because that she has a whole like branch of her art that is naked people and sexual stuff and whatever.
Yeah, and Becky's stuff is, you know, very doom and gloom. You know, in her past. So like you
Becky seems like the odd man out there, but I bet her art style fits the story pretty well when it's awake.
Oh yeah, because it's very you know, it's very basic. Like again, like 1600s, so it's like, you know, colonial America. So you know, it's very dark and dreary. Not a lot of color. So but Tula's stuff. I mean, like literally, the way it's formatted is like every panel. You know, there's like almost something going on that's different, and the colors are just like different in every panel. Like it doesn't really make sense. Like there's times where the reds are very bright, and then there's like greens and blues, and it's very interesting for the colors. And literally when you're looking at it, you're like almost like this is so real. And I mean, obviously we've all seen like what Tula can do. So good stuff if you want to check it out from Distillery. So
that's dope.
So yeah, that's comic talk for the week. Let's kind of move on. Let's kind of talk about what's going on. Jesus, let's go talk about Mr. Jonathan Majors and the future of the MCU. I'm sure we've all kind of heard what's going on. Rumor mill. I know this was kind of just posted today. Rumor mill regarding the future of the MCU. Kevin Feige's talking about bringing a big baddie from Spider-Man's universe into the Marvel MCU. I mean,
Craven?
Norman?
I guess, right? It's got to be, you know, to kind of balance out like somebody, right?
Who's on the level of Kang though from Spider-Man?
Nobody,
right?
I mean, just because you know they're not doing the X-Men, they're not going to bring anything like that. Obviously, everybody's talking about Doctor Doom, but I don't know. That's what the rumor mill is, that he's looking to bring some big Spider-Man universe.
Who's the big baddie?
So who do you think? Or sorry, I don't want to jump out of the.
Go ahead.
I can't imagine the big. But I'm thinking like, because a lot of the talk, obviously, right, the Jonathan Majors stuff, and people are likening it to the Ezra Miller stuff, right? And so like, oh well, why did Ezra get to stay? And blah blah blah. Do you? And of course, obviously, Justin and I covered the Ezra Miller watch leading up to the Flash movie for a long time, and both were in agreement that guy should have been canned a long time ago. Do you think that's part of the reason why Jonathan Majors got canned? Do you think that had any factor, the fact that like There was so much outrage about Ezra Miller. The Flash comes out, it bombs. It bombs for a lot of reasons. Let's not say it was just the Ezra Miller, but that was a part of it for sure. I mean, that definitely had a part to play in the bombing of that movie. And maybe Marvel's like, we don't want to take that shot. We already saw that happen with Ezra Miller. Let's just get rid of this dude.
So,
I mean,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I feel like it's just the basic difference in how DC and Marvel move.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Which
mean?
also
Like
bad,
DC,
right.
they had all the stuff with Amber Heard during the, and she's still in the upcoming Aquaman. Like, that's crazy to me. And then on the other end, you've got Marvel, who very much so is willing to drop somebody if they're bad. But they've also made, allowances in the past. And like Johnny Depp doesn't have a checkered past, or some of these other actors that are major superheroes haven't done things. Josh Brolin, domestic whatever. So I think Jonathan Majors will be able to bounce back from this. I don't think he's like fully canceled, but who knows, man? These days it's super hard to tell. It's also hard to tell what the motivations that the studio has, like what other factors are being, added into that.
Do you think it's also it's really hard with Disney, right? Because Disney over the years has been pushing this massive like woke agenda, right? And like whether you agree with it, disagree with it, that's not what here nor there, right? But there's also been, and this isn't undeniable, they've come out and said this, we want to put a lot more emphasis and a lot more focus on female characters, right? So does it speak differently if you're like, hey, we want more female characters, more female leads, we want strong females, and then hey, yo, check out this dude who just beat the shit out of a girl and we're gonna let her keep the job.
Like they talk themselves into a corner and now they have to like
exactly, dude. And so but then the other thing I think about is like, hey, you know what, we can get rid of this guy, it's a multiverse, we just bring in a different person and be like, that was the wrong one, and it's so easy to replace him. I mean,
yeah, they're in that perfect realm.
Like
perfect saga.
Yeah, perfect saga. It doesn't have to be that face, right? Like we've seen with Spider-Man, we got all the different Spider-Mans. So like the different Peter Parker.
I think in general, Marvel needs to start getting away from just continuing to use the exact same actors for the same roles all the time. Like, I mean, look at like the only reason James Bond was still a relevant franchise like 50 years later is because they rolled with whatever was happening in the hot actor at the time.
And
like
aged.
It's a character in a story. It's not an actor. That's their problem. The platforms that attach themselves to specific individuals rather than the ideas they're pushing put themselves in kind of a weird position when it comes to future development.
Like Batman's a perfect example as well. Like you have all these. It's a character that's played by multiple people. And granted, Iron Man is a new character in like this realm of comic book movies with the success. And Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. These are the two characters, in my opinion, in modern day comic book movies that are going to be hard to replace. They're going to be hard.
Yep.
Yeah. But they got to just do it. Like just replace them. And this is what you get. You like this Wolverine more than the other Wolverine. And then we'll give you another one in like 5 years when you age up and, it's time for the next generation to get their
We'll put nipples on this guy and we'll take them off the next guy. And you might like it.
I mean, we've gotten enough Spider-Man. We've gotten enough Batman, enough Superman. Like we've seen it all. So... And everybody's okay with it. In a way, you're all okay with it. Like we've seen the Tobey Maguire.
Or you're not, but you still go to the movie, right? Like that's like what Kevin said. It doesn't matter if they like it or not. They're gonna be there.
Yeah, because it's the character. It's not the actor. But like people are all like, well, they were, you couldn't believe how fast that Marvel fired him after.
Right.
He was fired way before, but their saving grace was they just waited.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that they because I mean there was just an instant where you saw all the news drop and within an hour they're like, yep, Marvel just dropped this guy, official news. And you're like, there's no way that just happened. This was probably planned. He was already done, but they just kind of saved face with like Loki season 2. They didn't want to say it before because then people would be like, oh, well, nobody cares anymore.
Well, Loki, it felt awkward seeing him in Loki season 2, to be honest. Because you were like, and it wasn't a small role. It was a pretty big supporting character. And you're just like, not awkward because I was like, oh, domestic violence. And not that I'm downplaying domestic violence, but awkward more because I was like, oh, is this guy supposed to be here? Like kind of like one of those things. Like,
awkward. Like, I hope this guy's performance sucks so I don't miss him when he's not.
Right. And he nailed it. And that's the bad thing is he is a good actor too.
Yeah.
He's a good actor. So.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what happens moving
did you
forward.
See one of the funny things I saw was like if Marvel really wants to do something cool, they cast Terrence Howard as Kang.
Oh yeah.
Hold
saw
my
that.
beer.
Yeah. To be
That
honest,
would be
a lot of people are
amazing.
like, who could replace him? I really like John Boyega, the
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I saw those ones
Star
too.
Wars.
Agreed.
Played Finn. I thought he looks great. Like people like already photoshopped him onto the Kang.
He already talked too much
costume.
shit about Disney though. Disney's
Well,
probably
yeah,
like,
but-
hell no, dude. It's on the
Yeah.
shit list.
Yeah, Star
Can't let
Wars
a
is in the
fox into the
tank.
hen house, you know.
Yeah.
You can't do that. So yeah,
No Doom
it's
though,
gonna be
man.
bad.
We in agreement. No Doom. Like I don't want to see a rush to Doom because you got to replace Kang. Like that's
I
the
don't want to
worst
see a
thing that
rush
can
to
happen.
anything, man.
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
CGI in the movies these days is just, if not bottom of the barrel, just always feels too like I could pause at any time. I feel like during any of these majorly over chaotic action scenes, and just it's not a good look. They
Yeah.
need to take their time on whatever they decide to do.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So let's kind of keep moving on. We have another topic that's kind of hot on the topic of comic books. We have this big old CGC scam that's going around. The seller out there on eBay has been selling books that are CGC 9.8 in different cases, and people are noticing that it's the actual same serial number. So
walk it through from the beginning though, because like some of the posts were, some people can write better than others on Instagram posts, and some of them I was like, I can't follow what you're saying. Your grammar's dog shit. So
yeah,
walk
so
us through it.
I guess it's so there's a couple people out there. There's people like 9.9 Newsstands, Automatic Comics, Swaggle House Comics. They've all done videos on this. Thorough did a video on this, even Brian McClay. So there was this 9.8 newsstand of well, I think it started with like a 252. There's an Amazing Spider-Man 252 out there. There's a Hulk 181 and a New Mutants 98. And basically what it is there was these copies out there that had the same serial number from CGC. Then they were cracked, and then they were updated with the labels to like the newer, like to have like whatever the Marvel logo label
Those
is
new
like at
ones
that
they
time.
made.
So like if you took a 252, you'd obviously get Spider-Man. New Mutants 87, 98, you'd get the Deadpool, whatever. So what's happening is this person is he's basically buying lower grade copies and slicing them open somehow, and then taking other copies that are in higher grades and somehow marrying the shittier copy into the 9.8, and then sending it to CGC, saying like maybe like, because then he wants a reholder. Basically, that's what he's going to get. He's trying to get a reholder into the new labels.
Mm-hmm.
So the book that is coming back, even though it's a CGC 9.8, is not actually the CGC 9.8 copy, but he's selling it as a CGC 9.8. And then he has another copy that's technically a 9.8. I think he goes by Bravia, BRIVA, or Comic Selects on eBay. And now all of a sudden, with all this heat over the past week, he no longer is selling anything on eBay. So seems a little fishy. But yeah, there's a lot of guys out there that have been doing a ton of videos on it, and this is just crazy. I can't believe, CGC. I know, like, listen, I've sent stuff to CGC that need to just get reholdered for, quality control issues, whether it's video games, comics, whatever the case may be. But the fact that they're not like looking at the book and saying, like, as they're taking it out, being like, oh, this is not really a 9.8. Because again, like if I bought a 9.8, well, first of all, I'm not going to crack a 9.8, but if I bought this 9.8 and I want to crack it to get signatures or whatever the case may be on it, I do that, and then all of a sudden it comes back like a 7.5. Or I think what's happening is this person bought the Hulk 181, but he bought a not a resto copy, but a qualified copy that was missing the Marvel stamp. So now when CGC goes back and looks through all this, now he's no longer going to get that blue, well, like a yellow label. If he gets a signature series, it's really going to get the qualified yellow label because it's an incomplete book.
Yeah. So I did a little bit of poking through this just to kind of make heads or tails of it, and it just really appears to be a loophole in the CGC process that someone is exploiting. And it's entirely based around the reholders. It's hard when like this seller is being accused of doing this. Like, I mean, how many times do we all check the back history of a book that we've purchased? It's entirely possible that this person got the book in this condition, thought they had what they had, and it was not the case.
Yeah.
But CGC does scan all the books they grade, so they do have a photo of items. So it feels like this is a pretty easy solution to add some things into the process that's either checking it against the image of the previously scanned book or just regrading everything that comes in like that. But my understanding of the whole loophole exploit was that effectively someone is cracking the case to swap out the labels.
Yeah.
That's a way easier move than trying to get into a Mylar well and pull something out and then re-seal it. So shenanigans, it sucks. It's I don't think CGC or maybe even necessarily this person that got called out on it is the origination of the problem. I know that CGC works really hard to try and keep things consistent, but it's definitely something that needs to be addressed. Like somebody mentioned recently, or that recently came to light, the whole issue with like SIG series issues, like people submitting SIGs that they didn't actually witness. So there's just like a tightening up, I think, that they could do to address this pretty easily. It's just how widespread is this? That's really the question, I think, on everyone's minds, because we've all been buying books for so long, so many graded books for so long. And now you have to go back and check on something that's literally sealed inside of a plastic case. How do you do that?
Yeah.
It's kind of it just puts everyone in a weird space, I think. And I think the outrage is warranted, but I don't know if it's necessarily directed at the right people until we know more about it.
I think the community also needs to be aware that, like, to be outraged about this, right? Like Justin said, maybe they need to. So people need to understand, like, you make all these videos. So like Swaggle and whoever's making these videos, like 6 months from now, if you send CGC books in, whether reholders or whatever, and there's a backlog, it might be because of this. Like, be aware of what you're asking for. Be careful what you wish for type situation when you're like, hey, because like you said, the reholder, they're like, hey man, it's just a quick little, we're going to rehold it. We're going to just go off what it was. It's
the lowest on the ladder. Like, it's the lowest impact thing they do.
Honor code, right? Like, hey, we're just going to assume the books. We're not going to check it again. We're not going to lower your grade. We're going to regrade it. You're going to get back what you get back. And so, like you said, it's a loophole that can be like used. And now people are like, well, this is bullshit. CGC needs to look at this. Be careful. Yeah. Be careful what you say, because now when you sit in for a reholder, you're not paying reholder prices now. I guarantee you CGC is going to charge you. If you want that full examination, you'll be paying for the full examination again. Times will go up. Everything will go up. So, is it as widespread as we need to change the whole system, or is it a fluke and like, it happened a couple of times? And there's very much like don't get me wrong, it came through my head and people are like, you might be careful. You might want to check out your Hulk 181s. You might have like a crappy copy. And in my head, I'm like, oh shit, dude, what's up with my Hulk 181? And then I remembered, I'm never going to crack it. What does it matter, dude? As long as it's still in there, it's a 9.0. Like, it don't matter to me. So
yeah, that lives with me.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere, dude. And if I sell it, I'm selling it as a 9.0, and that's on that person's problem. But
which is probably how this dude who got called out for having the book got pulled into the situation to begin with. I even saw him comment on, I think, one of the original posts about it. He was like, somebody reach out to me. Like, I'm super sorry. I just want to understand what happened here. Like, I really didn't do anything wrong. I've been selling forever. It sucks, man. Like, no one, it's just like buying stolen property.
Right.
No one wants to do that. And, you
have to prove.
But, he did sell, I'm looking at him on eBay. And like I said, it's the 9.8. It was first Deadpool, Mark Jewelers newsstand 9.8, the 252 Mark Jewelers, and a Secret Wars 8. And they went for like crazy money, like $13,000, $16,000, and $21,000 for a CGC 9.8 Secret Wars 8 Mark Jewelers. Like, and again,
that's
they're
wild.
Yeah.
I mean, who's got that money during Christmas time to like blow like right now? I don't know, but so I mean, if you look, that's the person who's selling its Comic Selects. I mean, and again, like if you literally go to their page, they basically put they have nothing up on their seller, and if you actually check their shop, it actually comes up. It says we are sold out, but here are some other stores you may be interested in. So like it's like basically whatever they had available, they just took down because they don't want to sell, because they don't want.
I mean, maybe they freaked out and they want to go check their stuff to make sure this isn't happening with a bunch of other shit.
I agree. I guess, because obviously we can't talk to eBay on this, but let's just say something like this happened with you guys.
They don't care. Yeah.
Like what would like the I mean, like, what would happen? What's the
I mean, all of
repercussions? What's
the
recourse?
items sold, all the items sold and bought through our website are fully insured through CIS, collectible insurance. So, I mean, if there was a issue like that, I would imagine we'd have to launch an investigation and get the police involved. But ultimately, we're going to take care of our users, and whether that results in us determining somebody did wrong and they're booted off the platform or something, that would entirely remain to be seen. But I mean, we're not going to stand for shenanigans either. We have a lot of systems in place, including our, the book comes to headquarters where we look at it and then it takes off again to the buyer, that are built specifically to capture stuff like this. Like, I feel like our process is so efficient, but also convoluted that people don't even try with Shortbox for the most part. Does that make sense? Like
100%.
we've got people checking things all over the place. We've got, fraud alert systems hooked up to our payment model. Everything we've done what we can to protect ourselves and make sure our dealers and buyers are taken care of. But yeah, I mean, if there's if someone's stating that like a book that's been modified was sold on the platform, all right, cool. Here's your refund. Send the book back in. We'll take a look at it. And if we need to pursue a claim or something, we'll do that. It is what it is. Stuff happens, but that's also why insurance is there, and that's why you build processes in place and redundancies to make sure that it's very unlikely that it'll happen.
It's very interesting to hear like app owners in the comic book world like actually be concerned about what occurs on their platform. It's very, very refreshing. Very refreshing as opposed to letting like criminals and thieves sell on your platform and sell stolen books and stuff like that.
Every single person on in the leadership role here at the company, they're constantly watching everything that happens on the app all day. They know of all the sales that happen. They know the offers that go through. I mean, we're monitoring all the time. There's it's built into what we have on our side. So everyone is aware of what's happening at all times, which is why we're such an effective team for not being like a huge 100-person company.
I sent an offer to some dude recently on Shortbox and he declined it. So I'm gonna need you to go talk to that guy.
You hit me up after, bro.
Yeah, you tell him that I want that price.
I get a discount code or best offer, whatever you need, right?
I lowball them.
Let's figure it out.
I definitely lowball them. He probably should.
Yeah, well, I mean, like that's also something that we do that isn't real like normal. It used to be more normal back in the day when we would work more one-on-one with people to try and close deals. But I mean, if you ever want us to reach out to a buyer or a seller or whatever, like we can do that for you. It's completely. We can't guarantee they'll respond or that they'll care, but
totally joking.
I remember this is going back. I guess this is like 2019. Yeah, it had to be before. It had to be before the pandemic. And I remember it was the first year I went to Baltimore. Not the first year, but second time I went to Baltimore. And the first time I met you guys, like you and Gene and the whole team. And one of the guys over there emailed me and they were like, hey, we see that you put yourself on vacation mode, but somebody wants to send in an offer, is the book available? Blah, blah, blah. Will you accept? And I go, yeah, sure. Why not? I just can't ship it out till I get back like on Monday. Right. And I mean, it was cool that they, reached out to me via email and I saw it and then, I allowed it to go through and everything. So I don't know. Do you guys still do that? Or is it kind of like, maybe bigger books?
That kind of stuff happens all the time. Someone will have an offer that's out floating around and it'll get accepted. And then the dealer's like, I'm going away for the weekend. I mean, we're always, as long as people like reach out to us and ask us to help out, like we're happy to do whatever. And that was actually probably me that emailed you that because I've done that a lot. It was either me or Mark. But
probably Mark, because you would have been in Baltimore, so I don't think.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I do send emails on the road.
I'll have to go back through my emails. I'm pretty sure I still have emails from everything I've ever sold, like or bought on.
Yeah,
on my email.
I mean, we actually want to introduce features into the app that would help in situations like that. Like if you had something in your private portfolio, or again you're on vacation mode, someone has like a wish list and they're searching for that book in that particular grade. Like, why would we not want to hit you up and be like, hey, we know this is in your collection, but if you want to sell it, this person's just going to throw a number out and see if you want to do it. Like we want to build like a more fun, organic way to find books on the app than just a simple search and purchase. Yeah. But that's something that's, probably going to come in the future at some point soon.
All right. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we obviously we're getting into the Shortbox So, last time we had you on, Kevin, we were talking about the introduction of auctions,
Mhm.
and we wanted to bring you back on, just prior to auctions. So,
Yeah.
it's kind of launching this week, right? Is that what the plan is? So,
I'd say we're probably going to start our internal final tests in the next week or two, and then we'll probably see the short box run auctions. Those first couple that we're going to do, those will probably kick off at the beginning of the year next year. And then once those are done, so maybe a few weeks after that is when we'll start to open it up for users to submit items for sale. So I would assume probably like mid to late January for that, as opposed to beginning of January, because we want to make sure it's all super smooth when we release it.
how's the I guess the closed beta working? Like, I know when you talked about it last time, you were saying how you're given like a specific username so you could see all your stuff.
Yeah. I
Like,
can run through. I brought a little list of
okay.
of bullet point features about auctions that I can talk
Well, you're
about.
the most prepared guest we've had.
I'm so prepared. And also should mention for anyone listening, if you want to see the auctions platform live, you can go to our YouTube and you can find the Shortbox video for auction sneak preview. And you can watch me go through like a 7-minute video explaining all of the ins and outs and how it looks. It's really, really cool. I highly recommend if you're planning to check out auctions when we launch it, may as well prepare yourself a little bit ahead of time and go check that video out.
Yeah,
Um,
let me just jump in there real quick.
yeah,
Yeah, when you dropped that, I guess it's been about a month ago, and I
yeah,
immediately watched it. I commented on, and then you and I
yeah.
actually had a personal conversation via text, and I said you did a great job. Like it sounded informative. You didn't sound, you weren't like,
Hmm.
this is an auction, and this is what
Yeah.
you can do. Like it was perfect, and
I do a lot of
you,
takes.
so
I do a lot of takes.
it was like 10 reels.
It's like 30. You know what I mean? Like, well, I'll do the video. I'll sort of like try to pace it how I think it's going to be, and then Nat edits it down, and then um, and we'll either do like a voiceover, which is a little easier, although way crazier because I'll just like stop recording and start over for no reason.
Yep.
Or I record like I did with the auctions where I'm talking while there's like a screen share playing, and those I actually find a little easier. But there's still like I'll get like 3 or 4 minutes into it and then be like, just a bunch of expletives and I have to start over. I haven't mastered the skill of like stopping and picking back up where I messed up. I'll get there eventually. But thank you very much. I appreciate that you acknowledge my my calm composure that I eventually got to. Yeah.
So
Okay.
give us the rundown.
Yeah, let's run down the list. So items in an auction. I'll start with this. When we drop auctions, it's going to be the most modern, cutting-edge way to bid and make offers on books in an auction space. These are going to be event-style auctions, similar to what you would see on some of the other platforms like Heritage, where there will be a lot of items that are up for bid for a set amount of time, and then we'll eventually close, and people can get in there and do all their final bids and their sniping and all that fun stuff. What's unique about the short box auctions is that we're going to have all of the same information that you see on the product details now on the auction listing. So if there's a Hulk 181 listed for auction, you're going to be able to see historical sales, fair market value, unique notes about the book and what makes it special, as well as a census count. All in one place. You don't need to have multiple tabs on multiple browsers. Hope that you're refreshing them at the right time. It's designed to be just kind of a one-stop shop for the auction. The auction format will start with like a pre-bidding period where you'll get to go in and look at the stuff, and then an open bidding period where you can get in there and have fun with it, and then final bidding where we've got like a day left. Get in there, put your bids in, make sure you're monitoring as it closes. These auctions will be sudden death, and we will not be extending the end timer if an auction or if a bid comes in within like 5 minutes of it closing. At least not for now. We will eventually have things like minimums and premiums, but for now it's sudden death. Everything starts at $1, and you can be sniped. You can snipe, which is kind of fun depending on what end of that you're on. But yeah, we just want people to get in there and have fun trying to buy cool stuff. You can also add items to your watch list for very easy, locating those later, so you don't have to scroll through a 100 item lot every time you want to find the ones you're interested in. And then what Justin was talking about, we have full bid transparency. So you'll be able to see all of the random usernames assigned to the people that are participating in a particular auction or bidding on a particular item. And that name carries with each user over all the items in the lot. So you'll have a really clear idea when you're bidding if you're up against just a mishmash of people, or if you're competing against a very motivated buyer who's really trying to capture, a bunch of the same stuff you're going after. Not that that makes a huge difference, but I think it can help people sort of strategize and figure out where they want to drop their heavier bids. So that's kind of a cool thing that we're doing that's a little bit different than other platforms where we give you a little bit of info, but it still takes a bit to try and sort of suss out who's doing what.
Real quick on that, Kevin.
Yeah,
is that also kind of preventing like shill bids and the belief that there are people out there, right? So, whether like you said, maybe I'm competing with Justin and I'm like, this asshole keeps getting the books I want or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's also preventing someone who's owning the book, or like if it's my book, I'm like, hey, Justin, go bid that up real quick, and they're like, hey, the Nemesis Prime bid up Manimal's book or something. So this is what we're trying to prevent, right?
Yeah, in a sense, like that the situation or the what you just described would require some sort of prior knowledge of a relationship between you guys, but we got to start somewhere. So at the very least, we're going to put it on Front Street, who's bidding and buying what, and then that will give us what we need if there ever is a need to investigate or if anyone suspects shenanigans. We're a no shenanigans platform, so we will look into stuff like that if it's a concern or if something. And that's also the other thing about having all of the fair market, historical sales, census information on the listing. We're hoping that prevents people from getting suckered into spending, like triple the amount that the item's worth. Now, we're not going to stop people from bidding over. If you want it bad enough, like obviously go spend the money on it. That's how auctions work. But we want to arm people with more information rather than sending them in blind and having them sort of rely on whatever other resources they happen to be familiar with.
Cool. Well, you have are you going to have the same like information that you normally have on your current items?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
You're going to have the same color coding system. Like this is a good price. This is a bad price.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And to, if we're being realistic, we're probably unlikely to put a lot of like way overpriced stuff up for auctions. Like we are going to be the arbiters of auction items for the foreseeable future until this becomes a bigger, more automated system. So if people are coming to us and they're like, hey, I want to list a bunch of books at auction, but they want double the fair market value of that book. Like we're not, we have other options. Other people are sending us stuff that's priced a little better. Like we're not going to begrudge anyone wanting to get, the premium for a cool item, but we also have to be smart about that. If we just put a bunch of overpriced stuff in the auction, that either leads to the sellers being disappointed or buyers not wanting to even participate in future auctions, so there will be some measure of that, and we'll sort of feel that out as we get into it.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, a couple more little guys here. We do send in-app notifications 10 minutes from the end of a bid or at the end of an auction, and we also send email notifications 30 minutes prior, so lots of reminders so you aren't going to miss out on stuff. And then probably the two biggest things that we're bringing to auctions that are going to open the way for more cool stuff on the app: combined shipping. So when you buy a bunch of auction items, those are physically in hand with us. So those will get bundled up and we'll give you, the best shipping rate that we possibly can. Which will set the groundwork for eventually doing combined shipping within, like a cart in the user's account. So that if you're buying from, maybe 10 items from 2 different users, you can bundle the items with the different sellers. We already saw a little mock-up of that, and it looks nice. And then a big change is that we're also going to allow you to pay for your auction items using your bank account. So if you don't want to pay the 3% PayPal or credit card fee, you can use your bank account to pay with no additional charges. That is one thing about auctions that's a little different, is that we will be charging a 3% for credit card and PayPal, where we don't do that currently with purchases on the regular part of the app. So that's a little bit of a change, but we're bringing other cool stuff to pad it out to make it not as bad. So
now, will you, and I know it's very early, but similar to like Heritage, will you do like payment plans for like bigger books down the line? I know you're starting with like.
So. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think if we want to be competitive, we'll have to have that conversation at the very least. And and we have enough people here, like Gene and BJ and everyone at Shortbox who participate in those auctions with Heritage and other platforms. So I think they'll resonate with that.
Yeah,
you can definitely get them on board.
And then another question, and this is for obviously down the line, because I know the first couple auctions is more of like the short boxed inventory. Like let's just say I want to do an auction now. Do I hold on to all the items, or like do all my items get shipped to you guys and then you sell them and then you ship them and all that stuff?
Yeah, we take care of all of it. You just ship them to us, we sell it, and we give you your money, less our take rate.
And so, like, okay, so this is assuming like any Joe Blow, right, can like do this. So it's like, hey, here's a short box of books. I ship them to Shortboxed. No pun intended. Short box of books, 2 short boxes. A bit of a tongue twister. And then you guys auction them off. So it's like, hey, here's my short box. Get it out of my life. I don't care what I get for it. And then I receive whatever I receive from it.
Yeah, I would imagine that's maybe eventually where we'll end up. At first, we're going to be wanting to put up like
good stuff,
keys or issues that are sought after and stuff like that. But essentially what you're describing is the way it would roll. Is like I've got these items, the short box full of stuff. Here's a list of what I got, what I want to get for them. And then we can look and see if what you want for them is good. If you're just like, get me whatever. Yeah. Dude, we'd probably put all that stuff up and start at $1 auctions and just see what we get, But I think the initial push will be to focus on cool, like higher value or just more like interesting or desirable items immediately. This is also came up in a podcast I was on last week. We were talking about this. Like, you want to get into auctions? Heck yeah! Like, join on the app, sign up to be a seller. When it comes down to it, if you come out of nowhere the day we launch auctions and you want to the public and you want to submit a bunch of stuff for sale, we're not saying no. I mean, absolutely, we'll take your stuff and we'll put it up and we can sell it. But if it comes down to a decision between your stuff or a seller who's been on the app for a year, who sells and ships and is consistently like engaging with us and growing on the platform, I'm probably gonna lean in that direction when it comes to item selection. So start an account with the app. Just get a couple books listed. Just be somebody that we know, so that when we do get to auctions, that conversation's a little easier.
That's cool.
Yeah,
sounds like a great idea, man. And
that's pretty much it for the auctions for now, as far as like notes and little features that are coming. But I'll tell you guys more, as we get closer to it. I mean, it's bearing down upon us. It'll be out within a few weeks. So,
damn, you guys are like, it's not a busy time of the year to be like trying to crunch this out, right? Like,
no big deal.
You were like, oh, we're going through like the finals. I was like, what, dude? Like, everyone else's jobs are slowing down. It seems like you guys are picking up right now.
Yeah. And that's not it. I mean, should I use this as a segue just to talk about what else we've got coming out this year?
Please.
Okay, cool. So shortly after auctions launches, we're going to be making some announcements around new tools to help sellers with visibility and having more of a presence in a public seller shop on the app. Initially, we weren't trying to have everyone's info or seller info known, because there's this thing in marketplace called leakage. You don't want people finding out who you are and then going off the platform and buying it outside the platform. At this point, we've established ourselves as such a safe and trusted and easy place to sell that, like, even when people try to do that, sellers on the app are like, I'd rather you just buy it through Shortbox so they can send me a label, insure it, manage the customer. They take care of all of that.
Right.
So we want to reward all of the sellers that are spending all this time uploading hundreds of books and constantly repricing and sending out custom offers. Like, why would we restrict you in making your presence known? So there will be some really cool ways to, be able to push that info out to your followers online, or, create more clickable links that take people directly to your seller shop within the app. I don't know if you guys remember how it used to be, but you'd have the seller shop and you click on it and it takes you to some web page. And then if you click on an item, it takes you back into the app.
Yeah, it's like shortbox.com / your name / shop.
Yeah, it was terrible. I mean, so that link at the website still does work, but the way we're designing it now is that it'll redirect to reopen the app, or to open the app and actually just launch your seller stuff in the app. So you don't have to go looking all over the place. Plus, then it works with stuff like search filters and sorting and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, nice.
So that's going to be a really huge thing. I think you'll start to see a lot of people really pushing their public Shortbox shop. And then we also have some announcements coming out around, we're going to beef up our API. This is a little bit more of like a technical thing that we're doing, but we're essentially beefing up the back end of our app so that we can connect to other inventory systems and allow for easy like inventory synchronization for people that maybe have their inventory on multiple platforms. Now, just like it sounds, that is a huge project and is not going to complete anytime really, really soon, but we're going to start to work with various partners that we know do that in order to maybe help people list thousands more books like that. So that's a big one.
That's definitely key.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you know, like Hip Comics, they're the ones that they do that with their, like, you could have their stuff, you could have your stuff listed on there and also on eBay, and you can, in a way, you could transfer it. I know there's like a whole big store system that allows that. So like when something sells, it gets removed. But yeah, I feel like you guys are perfect because it's not like you're trying to, I know a lot more people, I would say, list slabs, even though you're now doing the raws. But yeah, having a multiple place where like people can just search is perfect. Like having it in multiple sites. So
yeah, and I mean, you got dealers that are like, yeah, I love Shortbox, I love the idea, I want to join, but like I also have an inventory of like 20,000 comics, and I don't want to manage 2 inventories of 20,000 comics. Totally freaking fair. Yeah. So, we will work with them. If they've got an engineer, that certainly simplifies the workload, but we'll work with them to try and create a system that allows for, those databases to talk together. I mean, it'd be really nice if something sold on Shortbox comes off of your eBay, comes off of your website, or it sells on eBay and it comes off your website and comes off of Shortbox. I mean, that's the sort of behavior we're hoping to create by beefing up the API. And I'm talking about it like I know what I'm talking about, but the API stuff is way over my head. I know enough to be dangerous and kind of pretend like I can describe it to people, enough to get them excited. But there's a whole bunch of technical stuff that goes into the background of that we're just now starting to figure out. So that announcement's probably going to come maybe a little bit later in the year, but very exciting to be sure.
Well, so obviously, yeah, that's later in the year. And then your other announcement that you guys literally just put out the other day, you guys are doing Shortboxed live again this year, right?
That's
so
right,
let's
baby.
talk about that.
Back in 2024. So we are doing it again. Santa Clara Convention Center, May 5th. The day Cinco de Mayo and the day after Free Comic Book Day. Come on down to the Santa Clara Convention Center. We'll be having our amazing one-day show called Shortbox Live 2024. We've got a whole cast of characters. We've got a ton of speakers. We've got Artist Alley is already starting to fill up with a bunch of creatives. Like got my homie Maria the Wolf coming out. We got John Jang. In fact, I pulled up the Eventbrite page so I could actually talk about some details here.
Yeah, you got John Beatty, you got Kelly Jones, Mike Choi, Michael Cho, Jerry Dugan, of course you said John Jang, your girl Maria Wolf, you had a live on.
Michael Choi is doing the art for the exclusive shirt for the first 500 attendees too.
Nice.
Yeah. Jason Sean Alexander, that was a huge one that we just confirmed. I don't know if you guys are a fan of his current Spawn or Philadelphia stuff, but he's incredible.
You have people that come out from like all over to come set up, right? That's like, it's not just you guys, like, correct? It's not.
So that was the creators and the speakers, and then we have our dealers, which is the star of the show in my mind. We fly out. Actually, we're not flying them out this year. We're paying for hotels. All of the dealers come out. All they got to do is bring their books. They're not charged for a table space. The dealers we've selected to be here are the top dealers that have seen tons of growth and have been doing really well during 2023. It is, in essence, like a little bit of a reward for doing such a great job on the app.
That's cool.
And it's going to change every year, which is not always what dealers want to hear when they're like, "Oh, this was great, I want to come back." But it's definitely nothing.
It's fair though. That's completely fair.
Yeah,
I think that's awesome.
We're trying to treat it with numbers. That we're trying to take the
no favoritism.
People pleaser. So when it comes to like telling people like, "Oh, sorry," it's
listen, if I kick ass in 2024 on the app, like I want to be invited for 2025. Like,
Yeah. Well, and that's the takeaway. If you didn't get an invite this year, talk to me. Let's see what we can do to kick ass in 2024 and get you in the show next year.
Yep.
Plus, we also added a couple of huge dealers to the platform, like Reese's Rare Comics, as well as Worldwide Comics down in Texas. And we had to make some space for them. So it was it's always so hard. It's like picking from your favorite children. You've got this list of like 100 accounts that you interact with very regularly, and you got to make decisions. But yeah, so we're going to have some of our top dealers on the app out at the spot selling books. Have a wide variety of everything from like dollar digging bins to all the way to like high grade golden age super rare books. So I'm really excited to see the spread of product in the room this time. I feel like last year was like a lot of really high end stuff, which was awesome to look at. But I'm looking forward to seeing like a wider range and like a wider range of collector just kind of getting in there and getting their hands dirty in the boxes.
Nice. Well, that looks. Yeah, I love the email. It just came out the other day, and yeah, like you said, you have the dealers in there, and you show them kind of like where they're coming from. You see some of the artists that are coming out. And I feel like Zach, do you want to put Kevin on the spot?
For what?
Put me on the spot. What do we got?
So we want to know, can we come be speakers?
Oh, that's like,
yeah. Send me an email, remind me. I mean, we can talk about it. I think I think we're almost at capacity, but we're trying to figure out if we can squeeze a few more in. There's a few people that have asked that. So yeah, just hit me up or remind me later and I'll add you to a list. Why not?
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I'd be all, I mean, it would,
but as like your podcast.
Ooh.
No, dude, shoot your shot. I get it.
That'd be pretty cool. I'd like to come out. Yeah, we could do some podcast exclusive stuff.
You waited for me to say I was a people pleaser, and then you just blasted me.
We also gave.
That's how I answer as a people pleaser. So. We'll consider it.
Well, I mean, this is recorded. Like, if this was live on YouTube right now, people would be like, "Answer the question, Kevin." They just everyone's waiting.
Start to sweat like that Key and Peele clip where he just like water starts running down my face. I'm like,
yeah. But no, we'll figure that out. I just thought it's absolutely great. Yeah, because some of the YouTubers, I saw some of the announcements on there and just stuff like that. And it'd be cool just to come out. I mean, hell, if we could just come out. If we can make it happen. I know 2024 is already starting to build up for us. We made an announcement a couple weeks ago. We're going to be setting up at King Kong. We're also set up at Terrificon.
Rad.
We got it.
I'm adding Terrificon onto my list this year. I really want to do that show.
Dude. Please come out. Like, I can't. We talk nothing but great things to everybody that comes on the show. So please.
Hell yeah, dude. That's going to be cool. I'm excited for Terrificon. I've got a couple other ones on deck. Oh, man,
are you going to MegaCon? Because that's my first show of the year.
I am. I'm actually going.
Sweet.
We're not going. We're not all going. The booth's not going, but I'm coming out because we're just like wholly underrepresented in Florida during the convention season. Because we didn't miss the MegaCon last year, and there weren't really a lot of other bigger shows that were worth us coming all the way out from the West Coast for. Also, like, shows that aren't the major shows are typically planned on the same weekends as other major shows, so it's made it hard to get out to Florida. But yeah, I think the rest of the team is going to be down in SoCal doing the Cal Comic Con, Terry's show, and then I'll be split and going out to Orlando.
Awesome. I'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So
hell yeah, I think I'm just doing I'm doing a Thursday, Friday, and leaving Saturday evening or something.
Okay. All right.
So we'll figure it out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We definitely have to catch up and get together. So, but that's awesome. So, so obviously, just, and real quick, before we get out of here, like, speaking of shows, is that like, what's kind of, Shortbox's, I guess, first couple shows for January, just so if people, February.
Let me pull it up real quick so I can not misspeak. Okay, so the shows that we are definitely boothing at, and we'll have multiple team members, obviously our show, and then Heroes Con, San Diego, and Baltimore. And then we're undecided on which other shows the booth's going to show up at this year, but on my list I've got, Emerald City, C2E2, I want to go to Torpedo Con. We've got Terrificon. Rose City is like right next door to me, so I'll go to that. Maybe New York. We missed it this year. I've also heard really cool stuff about Fan X and Salt Lake. So I mean, there's a bunch of random, really crazy ones that I would like to visit. It'll just kind of depend on,
timing and stuff like that.
How many of them are on the exact same weekend?
Yeah, I hear that. Well, that all sounds awesome. We cannot wait for 2024 for you guys. It's been, you guys have just grown leaps and bounds, and I always say that to you. And with the auctions coming, I'm super excited to see how it works. Starting off, on the low end of stuff, and then just kind of growing. So I think it's going to be absolutely amazing to see, what you guys can do, especially having an app format, unlike these other platforms that should have an app for how to do it. Like, I'm just tired of I have to do a web browser or Google or whatever.
I will say though that something that we have moved a little bit up on the development timeline is that we are going to build a more robust web experience for users. We're always going to be app first, but we do recognize that a lot of shop owners, don't have a shop device or know how to use their cell phones very well. So we are going to create a more robust web experience that sellers will be able to take advantage of and stuff like that. We'll always be app first. So
awesome.
Don't get it twisted. But but we're definitely going to try to beef that up so that everybody can hop on the platform and have fun.
Nice.
That's cool, man. Yeah. I love the way you guys grow. It's not like you never bite off more than you can chew. You're taking like little bites, you're digesting it. You're like, boom, here we go. Okay, now let's go to the next thing. Let's make that shit solid, legit. Yeah. Like the greased wheel, and then we'll go on to the next thing. That's what's always been great about Shortboxed, in my opinion, as well.
We appreciate that, man. It's definitely intentional. All of the moves we're making now were conceived of well over a year ago with the CEO and the CTO, and they have this master plan, and they kind of slow release it to us, and we all work together to make it a reality. And the slow organic growth is really our move. Like the same thing with me when I'm going out to try and find new dealers to sell on the app. I'm not all about the hard sell. Anyone who's ever talked to me at a show knows I am not about the pressure. I'm just like, hey, I'm Kevin. I think you're cool. You got cool books. You should sell on the app. And then we just kind of see what happens, and it's working. People I think appreciate that, not getting the hard sell.
Yeah.
So thank you for all that. I appreciate the kind words.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. So again, make sure if you do not have an Shortbox app, go ahead and download it. It's completely free. If you want to go ahead and sell,
get on there now so you can do auctions with us. Don't be too late to the party, because
I've spoken to Kevin offline. He knows kind of what I want to do in 2024. So we'll see what happens, and we'll go from there. But Kevin, we appreciate you coming on, learning again more of the updates for Shortboxed. So hopefully, you have a great holiday, and crush it in 2024 with the auctions. So
thanks, brother. You guys too. I look forward to seeing you all on the road and wherever we can physically connect. Like,
oh yeah, man! Can't wait for Orlando. Then now I know you're coming. So it's gonna be good.
Orlando.
Hell yeah. Zack, closing words before we get out of here.
No, just Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope everyone has a safe, happy holiday, and keep an eye out for next week. We'll be doing our wrap-up show, like as always, our yearly wrap-up. But yeah, man, unplug, enjoy the holidays, spend it with family, friends, whatever you have. If it's just you and your dog, crush it. Cat, crush it. Just unplug and have fun, man. Everyone just enjoy the holidays.
Yes, I second that. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Again, yes, we will be live sometime next week. Probably leaning towards, again, either Wednesday or Thursday night. It's open invite to anybody. We'll be live on YouTube, and then the normal podcast will then also just drop on Friday morning. But it's going to be fun. So come one, come all. We'll put the link in our chats, and we'll go from there. So we appreciate everybody this year who's popped on here. We appreciate everybody listening. So like Zack said, unwind, enjoy the next week before 2024 is literally around the corner. So
geez,
it's wild stuff. So thanks everybody. We'll catch you all next week live on YouTube. Peace out.
Later, guys. Yeah.